In terms of the dollar amounts, the previous graph was just really showing in terms of staffing reductions, which makes it easier to compare reductions over multiple years. Looking at the dollar reductions that would be proposed under the current proposed reductions for fiscal year 2010, the largest percentage reduction coming in your administrative department, city attorneys, the rec and nature center. Again, the smallest percentage reductions near the bottom are scheduled for fire and police, but nonetheless, fairly deep reductions in those areas. The city council budget currently is on there at 0%. That's a discussion our council will have to have on their own about what kind of reductions they may or may not want to make, but reductions in that area is not actually part of what we're currently proposing. So looking at some of the significant service impacts that the community is going to experience as we try to downsize our staff in order to balance our budget. By department, first in the library department, the proposed reductions would result in the closure of the East Lake Library. It would eliminate their programming staff, which would completely eliminate their programming, things like story times, the foreclosure workshops they've been holding, arts exhibits, things of this nature would be eliminated. There would be reductions in hours at the remaining 2 branch libraries, the Civic Center Library and the South Chula Vista Library. It would suspend operations of the Heritage Museum. Staff is currently working on looking to transfer the Stretch and Dash after school programs to a third-party vendor. And there's been reductions in departmental management staffing for the library department, as there has been in almost all departments. The recreation department would be closing the Parkway Gymnasium and the Parkway Pool.
Excuse me. What really you plan transferring to Dash and
I don't know that we have the answer to that right now, but we're looking for a third-party vendor to take on those programs. The school district gets funding for doing those programs, largely offsets the cost of those programs, and the city's been picking up the difference. And so those are the things we're trying to work out with another vendor. And I don't have a solution to who that vendor would be, but we are actively pursuing.
Are they going to remain a educational program, or?
Well, that would be the intent, would to remain the Stretch and Dash, keep the Stretch and Dash programs the way they currently are structured. We try to find a YMCA or some vendor who would deliver those services using the funding that the school districts already give.
But what you're saying is would be out of the city of Chula Vista then? It wouldn't be within the library confines?
No, it would not be a city-delivered program any longer.
Has the city really contemplated if the problem is with the property tax value? All these things are not going to help us raise property taxes. If anything, somebody coming in with a lot of money trying to have their family come to Chula Vista, looking at all this, no pool on this side of the area, nature center, everything closes. How is that going to help the city in the long run? We're looking at short-term cuts, but that's not going to help us in the long run. I think the city needs to be very much proactive. All these cuts right here are being contemplated without looking at the long term in terms of Chula Vista. This problem was not caused by us. It was caused by people who were unscrupulous and had all these problems with the mortgage. It wasn't caused by people who have paid high tax rates or paying high property taxes. For our children, how is this going to help our future?
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying. We do have 5-year revenue and expenditure projections, and when we look out 5 years, we're not seeing a 1-year blip where the budget's out of balance $20 million. We project out past 2010 to 2011, 2012, 2013. This $20 million persists. It doesn't go away as the expenditures keep growing and our revenue streams flatten out and even are declining, and we haven't been able to get any economic experts to say that's going to turn around really quick. So we're looking at 3 to 5 years of $20 million worth of red ink, which there's simply not enough money to continue to fund all these programs. And I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I noticed that your number on the list was the East Lake Library. More than half the city of Chula Vista's children and young people will not be able to walk to a library. They will not be able to walk to a library for the safety issue and it's a service. To me, that's untenable when you compare with the other large city compromises that we made according to school library, according to the place in San Diego City where they were considering cutting, but they did not cut, and all those libraries were in walking distance of other branches, but they still didn't cut. They will not be able to walk or find where to just go library.
Again, I'm not going to disagree with you. Those are going to be some very severe service impacts, and when I get into the other departments, you're going to see likewise severe service impacts in a lot of our other departments. Last question, I'd like to get through the service impacts, and then we can come back and talk as long as you want about what the individual impacts would be. But I'd kind of like to get the whole picture out there before we continue to stopping on each department.
Question related to some stuff that you did a little bit earlier, which the biggest piece of the budget, of course, is the police and fire, and you have them with the biggest MOUs where their increases are going up. And then there were some prior news reports questioning the overtime of the fire department, some of those things. Those are tough issues. Firstly, how are the police and fire salaries related to other cities? Are we comparable? Are we above? That's an important thing to look at in dealing with the MOU. And then the second one is anything being done from a management point of view to reduce things like those it seemed like an awful lot of overtime pay going to fire.
Yeah, and I can't respond with specifics in terms of the police and fire salaries and how they compare. I think we're competitive, but I don't have all the data from all the other jurisdictions in order to say where are we relative to the other jurisdictions. But I think we're competitive in both of those areas. And and they're not exempt from the process here we're talking about. We do have slides and some pretty severe cuts to our police and fire services. Even though the percentages are smaller than some of the other departments, or such large departments, the dollar amount is not necessarily larger than all of the reductions being proposed throughout the city. I can actually show that on this slide. So you look near the bottom, they're at the bottom because as a percent of their total budget, it's smaller than the other departments, but you can see $5.3 million in the police department is the largest single dollar cut from any department, and $2.3 million in the fire department is the third largest cut. So there are significant reductions in those areas. Going back to the recreation department, we've already mentioned closing the Parkway Gymnasium in full. Closing the Nature Center is also something that's being proposed. Reducing hourly staffing, about a 20% reduction in the hourly staffing at our remaining recreation center is going to have a significant impact on the drop-in activities and the free activities that are currently offered at those facilities. Eliminating the therapeutics program. The middle school program is our third after-school program, would be eliminated as part of this process, and eliminating the senior information and referral program. On all these departments, this isn't intended to be this isn't necessarily every impact that's going to be seen. These are the things we think that are going to be most noticeable to the community. I mean, we're already cut 160 positions in the city. We're proposing to cut another 165. There's going to be service impacts in all areas. In the Public Works Department is the department responsible for maintaining all of the city's infrastructure, sewers, streets, traffic signals, parks. They actually would be making the largest staffing reductions. Outside of the police department, they have the largest number of staff. They'd be cutting 44 positions under this proposal, and it's literally going to impact every single service that they deliver, from traffic signal and street light maintenance programs to the maintenance of the street themselves, reductions to our maintenance of our urban forestry programs. Park maintenance is going to suffer. Currently, we have 2 graffiti abatement crews. One of those would be eliminated, so there'd be significantly longer delays in abating graffiti. Eliminating the park ranger program. These are the people who are out at the park where people are utilizing them. You'd still have the ability to make shelter reservations, but the people who are currently out at the parks to enforce those shelter reservations won't be there anymore. So there is going to be the need potentially if somebody's at the shelter that's been reserved for the people to resolve that issue on their own. Total staffing reduction of 44 positions in the Public Works Department.